Hey, everybody, and welcome back to the podcast. Another episode. Have an exciting entrepreneurial guy on the show. Going to share all of his thoughts and advice and things like that. If you are watching us on YouTube, be sure to subscribe and like the video and allow us to keep bringing good content to everybody. If you're listening on your favorite directory, be sure to give us a 5-star review, so we can keep bringing you great interviews like the one we have today. So let's get on with the show, and then I'll introduce Matt to your group.
The information provided in these episodes is for entertainment purposes only. It is not a guarantee of success or to be construed as advice of any kind. You should always seek advice from local licensed professionals before making any decisions.
The dictionary defines an entrepreneur as a person who organizes and manages any enterprise, especially a business, usually with considerable initiative and risk. People often start a business without much choice, perhaps due to a job loss or just being dissatisfied at work, and they come up with an idea they just know can be successful. They become entrepreneurs by accident. That is to say, their success or failure happens by accident, not with intention. My name is Mitch Beinhacker. I'm a corporate attorney and a business advisor. You're listening to The Accidental Entrepreneur, my podcast about how to achieve success on purpose, not by accident. Join me along with our monthly guests where we share our knowledge and help you get a hold of your business. And now on to today's episode.
My mic was down there. Sorry about that. Matt, thanks for coming on the show. I usually like to get into, your background, kind of where you're from, where you grew up, which, you're not like, starting a log cabin, but, where your background, your education, what you learned, how you learned entrepreneurship, and let's work it all the way up to what you're doing now in your book and, all the inspiring things that you're doing now, but you had to start somewhere. So maybe you can tell that story. Does that sound like a good place to start?
Oh, Mitch, sounds awesome. Thank you, first off, for having me here and letting me share the story. So,
Yeah.
I'm from New Jersey originally. I was born in Teaneck, grew up in
Teaneck.
Montclair, lived there. Yeah,
County.
Teaneck. Bergen County, grew up.
My sister still lives in Montclair.
Yeah, I lived there till I was 9 or 10 years old, and I kind of ran around with a group of kids. I got in trouble a lot, and looking back, most of those kids, all other than one that I still communicate with to this day, they're dead in prison or disappeared. They're just not around anymore. And my parents moved us out to northern Colorado in the early 90s. I was 10 years old, and my first experience with business, and it was really monumental for me as I look back, because I grew up in just kind of a crazy environment. I got bullied a lot. I wasn't very confident. I was scared to go out in the world. Wasn't the sports kid, wasn't the popular kid. Was pretty smart academically. And one summer I said, hey, I want a boom box. They're $200. Compact discs were coming out. And asked my parents to give me some money. They said, nope, figure out a way to make your own. So I grabbed their lawnmower and just went up and down the street in our neighborhood, knocking on doors and mowing lawns. And that was my first exposure and experience to, hey, I have a goal. I want something. I can go work for it. And, with my own accord, my own risk, my own resources. And I made that $200 plus, a little bit extra. So that for me, though, it gave me a confidence and it gave me a certainty and it gave me some identity that I was really struggling to find back at that age. So that just became what I really poured my time, energy, and attention into. And lawn mowing became snow shoveling, candy peddling, out of the locker.
Business.
Yeah, and then I had a business, right? All unofficial.
Did you get the boom box?
Oh yeah, I got the really awesome boom box.
By the way, listening, they listen to music on their phone and things. They don't know what a boom box is.
It's a big plastic box, and they used to carry it. If you go watch the old 80s, 90s rap videos, you set it right up here. Speakers, you've got the cassette player, CD player. What was it? The D bat. You had 18 D batteries, something crazy in there, and so that was my initial exposure. I didn't grow up and have, other examples really of entrepreneurship or have somebody that showed it to me. It's just what I found that I was good at.
Were your parents weren't entrepreneurs? They were W-2 work, corporate work?
Employees, yeah. And then my mom stayed home, my dad worked. And that was kind of the exposure to it. So then I fast forward till 20, I'm at Colorado State University studying, and I really didn't know what I wanted to study academically. I went to school because everybody else did. That's just what the crowd was doing.
Right. Sure.
Yeah. And, I'm glad I went to college, but not for the 2 degrees that I don't use, right? I mean, and they're not business degrees. So I'm in a
Right.
class one morning and a guy comes in and says, "Hey, I'm here with a national company. We're doing internships for students that are interested in marketing, sales, business, and you get to work with another company's money and go out and run a business." They didn't tell me what it was. They just said, "Fill out this little card." And then little do I know, I get into the recruiting funnel of a college painting company. So I spent 4 years from 99 to '03 working with them and learned all about, more about marketing and sales, but really the residential house painting business, and made a bunch of money in college. And I spent 3 times what I made. And I knew that business was going to be my thing, but I didn't think I'd stay in the painting business. It's blue collar, it's manual labor, it's hot, it's seasonal. And, I tell people it wasn't a sexy business. I wanted to go get into, mortgage banking, and had a couple of guys that I knew that were making a killing back then,
Right.
and
Although I know some guys that built some
graduated. Yeah.
big, built some big house painting businesses in high school and college.
Hmm.
There's a guy I know in Canada that runs a program that teaches kids how to start and run businesses. They do it through a house painting program. And the guys that are running the
Yeah.
little businesses, they're not getting up on the ladders and painting the houses. They're hiring the guys to do it, all that kind of stuff. So you
Yep.
could make it a business, but it doesn't sound like it was like
Yeah.
that enamorous to you. You're like, oh, wow.
Yeah. It was great. It was great money, but I just said, there's got to be another way. There's going to be something else that I pursue. I think I was too concerned about the perception that others had about the business in which I'd be, running, operating, and
Of
making
course.
money. So, I get married. I meet Emily in college sweetheart. We get married. We're upside down in an over leveraged house. Never should have been able to buy a house.
Right.
And I'm working in a mortgage banking company and not really enjoying life. I'm hating my job and plotting my escape, trying to figure out what I want
What'd
to
you hate
do.
about
It was very corporate, suit and tie. It was the sit down, shut up, do what you're told, make your 150 calls, report back to me, and
it? Right.
there was no freedom for me to get creative about the ways that I would generate business. I was always a very creative kid,
Got it.
and they wouldn't let me do that, and
Right.
it just was a very restrictive environment.
Right.
And so I come in one day, just another normal day of not loving my job, and they brought in a new bank president. He pulled me into the office and said, "Put all your shit in a box and leave. You're fired." And it was a pretty quick swing of the hammer there. And 2 seconds later, I'm standing out in the parking lot with everything in a box, no job, trying to figure out what I'm going to tell Emily when I get home in about 15 minutes.
And why'd they let you
And
go? They didn't tell you?
know what? Yeah, so they could tighten up their P&L, and who knows what they were doing. It was the typical,
Yeah.
corporate overhaul, changing of the guards,
You
and
get jobs, right? Of course.
yeah, they didn't take the time to tell me, nor care, nor anything, and it was cool. It was one of the worst days of my life, but best days of my life, because it
Right.
really opened
So
the
you're in your
path for me
20s
to
now,
go in.
right? Like mid to late 20s, probably.
Yeah, '05. So I'm just 23. Yeah, I would be 24 that summer. So I was 23.
Yeah.
Recently married.
Right.
A
Okay.
couple $100,000 in debt, and
Yeah.
standing there like, what am I going to do? All I know how to do is run paint crews. So on the drive home, I called, not Emily, called a couple painters from college painting and said, "Hey guys, we're going to take a run at this, and give me about 30 days, and you're going to have a whole bunch of work." They said, sounds good. "Well, why are you doing that?" I said, "Well, they just fired me at the bank." They go, "Oh yeah, we knew that would happen. You're not a bank guy. You're a business guy." And that was the founding of my first company, M&D Painting.
Okay.
Opened it with the last $100 we really could spare at the time, and literally just went out and knocked on doors and got really clear with marketing methods and conversion ratios, and was just really buried down in the X's and O's of building the business, for the first couple of years.
Right. But you didn't, it wasn't like you went to business school, right? I mean, you had a business degree, I guess, business and marketing, right, at college? No?
No,
What was your degree?
I have a child development and family studies degree. So I
that's
love
perfect.
kids. I wanted to teach. And they were going to bring in an elementary ed program at CSU, and they ended up doing it in a way to where I would have had 4 more years of school, and I didn't want to be 8 years in school. And then my other degree is in Spanish. So I did a semester abroad over in Spain my junior year of college, and just totally fell in love with Spain, the culture, the everything about it. And I was debating through the business process of, hey, do I go back to Spain and do another trip, do more studies over there, and just ended up staying here. But yeah, I mean, everything about business I learned by doing business, not studying business.
Interesting. And that's true for a lot of people. I mean, you go out and you were had the perseverance and the fortuitiveness to figure it all out and get through it and learn. And I'm sure you're going to tell me that you made a lot of mistakes along the way. So
Yeah. So many. Yeah. And I was hard-headed and I was stubborn and I was angry that I got fired. One of the things the bank president says after he said, go put all your stuff in a box, is he goes, maybe you should go back and do that painting thing, and he cinches up his tie because he's better than me and looking down on me. So I was like, all right, maybe I will there, buddy. And, I had a lot to prove back then. And, there was a lot of reasoning behind that. But the point of sharing that is I say the X's and O's of business. I was not focused on personal growth, personal development, leadership, leading others, inspiring others. It was like, make money. I'm going to become a millionaire. Yeah. And I was throwing the middle finger to the world of people that didn't believe in me. And there's, maybe there's a time for that. That'll take you so far. But when I got to where I wanted to be, I realized that I didn't take anybody else up there with me. So my business journey turns into this leadership journey as well that really coincides with, you can grow a business if you work harder and work more, but you cannot scale and build anything great that outlives you, that you can step away from if you don't know how to lead people. And I really didn't know how to lead people.
Yeah. All right. So how did you get to that? So you have this business, your first business. What was the what was the progression with that? Yeah.
There's these little moments of coming home every day. Emily, I can't believe this guy didn't work out. And, he comes on and he, to tell him what his job is and then tell him how to do it. And he can't do it. So I've got to go do it for him. And then he quits or I fire him. And it was everybody else's problem, right? Why is everybody leaving my business? Why is everybody betraying me? Why is everybody,
lesson, don't blame other people.
And
focus on yourself.
Of course. That's easy. Super easy. And I'm a pretty type A, pretty aggressive, pretty assertive guy. So I'm hard to approach. That's a little from New Jersey, man. Come on.
Right. Of course.
This guy that had been mentoring me, he'd call BS on me a lot. He's like, hey man, he goes, not too many people can tell you this, but have you ever thought that maybe you're the problem? Maybe you're the one that needs to grow up. Maybe you're the one that needs to develop. Maybe you're the one that needs to understand how to treat people. I was not a kind or nice person to work for back in the early days of business. And that's just how it was. So when I realized that, the analogy is I'm standing at the top of this $1 million mountain and I didn't bring anybody up with me. Leadership is not, it's not even about dragging people up. It's about, bringing them up and elevating them up really in front of you.
Right.
So I said, hey, at this point I can be up here and I can keep climbing by myself and working myself to death and, gaining and earning the reputation of what I was gaining and earning, which wasn't a great thing, but it was always masked by the business success and the awards and all of that. So I said, hey, I'm going to come back down and I'm going to figure this out. And I really started digging into my story personally, professionally, looking at the things that I needed to work on and make better in my life, just as a man in general. And your business will only grow and be healthy to the degree that you are personally, whatever shit you're carrying. That's going to roll right over into your business. And if you think it won't, then let it, you keep doing what you're doing. And that's effectively what this guy said to me. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It's funny because I was thinking there must be some sort of an outlying event that happened and you had a mentor and you had somebody who you were at least, even with your stubbornness, right, probably looked up to for advice and guidance and so forth. And he said, like you said, he called bullshit on you and he said, enough with this and you got to do it the right way. And you took it. But you're right. A lot of people don't. And they're mad at the world and they, everybody else's problem and it's all their fault. And I can't control this. And the people and it leads to, mental illness and stuff, and depression and things like that. And it's the strong people that say, hey, no, I am in the driver's seat. I can make decisions that make things better to get there. And if I want to get there, I can't keep blaming everybody because you and I both know that there are always challenges in life. That's the sign of life is challenges and opportunities. And if you know that there will always be challenges and opportunities, it's just a question of how you deal with them, not whether they come or not.
It is. And I heard this quote and I don't know who exactly founded it or started it, but they said a successful winning person, they're sitting on top of a mountain of their failures, challenges, obstacles, adversities, hurts, traumas, pains, all the crap. They're sitting on top celebrating like, yeah, I went through that and I figured that out. And then somebody that lives in scarcity and failure and victimhood and all of these, negatively empowering emotions, they're laying underneath them, just letting them crush them.
Yeah.
Same stuff, different people, different perspective. But, I would challenge listeners to say, hey, however you got into business, right? Accidentally, maybe a little on purpose, is, what's your story? Who are the people that came into your story and invested in your life? Like whatever experiences you have with people that you remember, that's going to give you some belief systems and some frameworks that you think about the world. And just what I came from was, people are going to screw you over. They're going to betray you.
Right.
You can't trust anybody. So that's how I ran business. And when I realized that there's another way to do things, and it was just me needing to get over my own stuff and literally go to therapy and counseling. And
Yeah.
oh my gosh, a man is sitting here saying that, like, men, we can't say that. We can't admit that. Like, that's bullshit,
Right.
man. Like
The
everybody's
strong
got stuff.
people are the ones that go for the
Yeah.
therapy, not the ones who don't.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And when I started doing that, I found, you peel those layers back, you're like, oh, there's some things in between these layers that I've got to deal with. And then, when you can get really vulnerable and honest about just where you're at, and then come back to those people within the business and say, guys, like, here's what I've just realized and discovered and observed, and here's what I'm going to work on. Here's what I want you to hold me accountable to. And some people saw that in my business. They're like, dude, I want to be a part of that. That's weird. We just wanted to work
those
for you as a
people.
boss.
Right. Exactly.
But the ones that did, like, they're still here to this day, and you go on this journey together, and it just makes business different at another level. You're literally pouring into the lives of other people, and helping somebody that comes to your business to be a sales producer discover what's going on with their story. It's really cool. I mean, I love what I do every day. Yeah.
People develop, and it develops you. Some people need real therapy. Well, maybe all of us need therapy to a certain extent, but a business mentor is really like a business therapist, right? It's somebody to bounce ideas off of. It's amazing what we can do and work through just by talking things out with other people who have a different perspective or more experience, or, I mean, I've been doing this for 30 years. I deal with situations obviously much different than a lot of my clients do, and they freak out about whatever's going on. And I calm them down and say, this is how it works, and this is why, and this is how we have to deal with it. And, it's a testament to you that you got there, that you got through that, to the end, because some people don't come out the other end, or they don't, it affects their success, or they fail 20 times before they get to success. You don't, they say you want to fail your way to success. You don't want to do it 20 times, but you'll run out of time in life, but you learn that way.
Gaining some wisdom and perspective to not do it again. Yeah, it's like you want to do it and learn the lesson, but then not go back and do it again. But I'd share too, like, don't be so proud that you can't ask for help and say that you don't know something. I think as leaders, we need, it's this false perception that we need to be strong and always, firm in what we're standing on. We always need the answer, always need the solution. I've been sitting around the table many times with my team. Hey, I don't know what to do, guys.
Right.
I've got nothing right now. What do you have? And somebody says, I've got this. Okay. Let's give that a try. So, it's been fun. I mean, like I said in the intro, I just love helping people, business owners in particular. And it's a lot of men. It's a lot of men. I find my audience are men that have gone through some kind of traumas, and they're trying to deal with that as they're trying to grow their business and grow their life. And it's all connected. We're just humans serving other humans, and you measure the business with money and P&Ls.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. So where'd you go from the painting business? What was the next iteration?
So the painting business was in 2011. I wrote Become an Award-Winning Company. That was my jump into the authorship space.
So you still had the painting company.
Yeah, still had the painting company. Yeah, so that was growing and that was going. We also in 2010 we invented and trademarked a tool. It's called the Pirate Patch Drywall Repair Tool. It's a little stencil that you can patch drywall texture with, and we were learning a lot about that as that company started and got going. We now sell it just purely online on Amazon, Walmart.com.
Yeah, we talked about it.
So that's going on.
We'll put a link in the show notes for people curious and they want to see the product.
No, absolutely. Yeah, no, and that's been a really fun story. But started writing and speaking and just sharing my story with other business owners, about a decade ago. And then that from there has we've also launched, we have a jujitsu academy. So Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu school. It's one of my personal passions that turned into a business. And then I do some real estate investing, and I'm also a licensed agent. So I get to do some work in that. But my next my next 10 to 20 years, I really want to write more books, speak a lot more, and build an entrepreneurial community of other business owners where we can support and uplift and encourage each other. And, it's difficult times, even when times are good, like business
Yeah,
is hard.
always.
Business is hard. And I feel, and I've experienced and observed that a lot of other entrepreneurs feel kind of isolated, like they're on an island. And to, imagine having a group of people that you can just come to at the drop of a hat, and they might not have the answers, but they can at least share experiences with you to give you perspective.
So are you saying like almost like an advisory mentoring type of a community?
Yeah. So I'm looking at, and we're just in the brainstorming, napkin at lunchtime phase right now. But a group of like-minded entrepreneurs where we get together, whether it's in person or remote. There's learning events, there's coaching, there's a database of support, and then we have a big annual event where we bring everybody here to Colorado to bring in some speakers and teaching. So yeah, I call it a mastermind advisory group, club, gang.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, okay. So maybe you can share, because at some point I'm going to, we're not going to take a commercial break on this show, but it'll be edited in later.
Okay.
At some point of the show, or after the break, I'd like to talk to you about some of the things you've learned along the way, some of the mistakes you think you made, the kind of advice you give to other people I assume you're mentoring people now too, right?
Yeah.
Through the book and things like that. So, if that, makes sense, let's get into that stuff now.
Let's do it. Love it. Yeah.
Okay. Sounds good. So tell me about what are some of the mistakes that you look back and say, oh, I should have done that differently. And it was a learning experience, but it was a mistake.
Yeah. Yeah. So first thing is putting profit before people.
In the world. That was a mistake.
No. Guys, and there's so many, right? I mean, if I could sum it up in some of the real big ones is putting profit before people. Was, like I said, very good at the execution of business. And to me, business was, a person is just a cog in a wheel to produce profit and return on investment. And, there's ratios, and you need to track all that in business. You don't want to not make profit, but,
right.
I put profit in front of people, and people were severely affected by that. So turning that around, I've just got a little saying: if you focus on the profit, the people will run. If you invest in the people, the profit will come. When I started focusing on making the lives of people better, you still have to work at the business, but it's a different culture. It's a different feeling.
Right.
And then the other thing with that in mind is I think we overcomplicate business a lot, way too much. So
good
business author, Mike Michalowicz, he wrote a book called, he's a Jersey guy. Yeah.
He's been on the podcast.
Mike's a good dude. And
great guy.
He wrote in Clockwork, he used the AC/DC analogy, right? So it's attract, convert, deliver, collect. When you start a business, there's just so many things to do. Go out, find one way to attract your ideal client, identify them, and do something creative and different to get in front of them. You have to interrupt that conversation and start a conversation about business. And then you convert them. You give them something that they need, makes their life better, ask them for business.
Right.
Deliver that, and then get paid. And we layer it with, oh, I've got this CRM and this system and this fancy thing and this, and no, it's just who's your client?
Yeah.
Just keep it simple.
Right.
And then triple down on what you're good at. So I stole that one from Jersey guys, man. Like, I guess follow Jersey guys is my other advice, right? Gary V, right? He just says, if you're good at marketing,
Jersey guy, right?
Marketing and sales, that's my thing. So that's what I'm going to invest in. I'm not going to try to get better at something I suck at, like accounting. I don't ever want to do it.
Right.
So I'm going to hire somebody that's also amazing at that. Another lesson that I'd share is things just take longer than you think they're going to take.
Yeah.
We see success, every overnight success, right? It was a 20-year overnight success.
Don't know about the 19 years that it took them to get there. Yeah.
Well, and you'll read my bio, right, for the podcast, wherever that's put, or it's on the, the link. And, oh my gosh, look at all these awards and this success, man. I grinded I'm sitting here 2 decades later, still figuring it out, still figuring out who I am.
Right.
So your journey starts with the first step, and it's going to meet you where you're at, and you just have to take it, and then ask for help, look for mentors. I really think
I'm a
those
big believer
four.
in mentors. When you get started in
Yeah.
business, find people that are more successful than you. Have a cup of coffee with a guy every month for the first year, and it will push you,
Hmm.
up the success ladder and
Yeah.
just teach you things that, look, you're going to make mistakes along the way on your own.
Yeah.
But if you could avoid some of them or make better decisions along the way because of other people's experience, then, that you can't
Yes.
replace that type of thing. And a lot of people, they find out later on, they discover that having a mentor and advisor makes sense, or asking people for their opinions or this or that makes sense after they've kind of fumbled a little bit, you know.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, good
Sometimes that's
advice.
the catalyst to go get one. And then the coolest part about business too is, it's like somebody pours into you. I remember this guy. His name's Marwan Chatilla. I don't think anybody would really know who he is. He moved here from Lebanon to escape, the war and everything going on there. And
Right.
he owns a company called M&J Carpet Cleaning. I own M&E Painting. So we would get phone calls. Our marketing would get mixed up, and they'd call us for carpets, him for painting. So
That's
I bump
funny.
into him at a Starbucks one day, and he goes, "Hey Matt," he goes, "You're the M&E guy, huh? And how's business?" And this is during the down economy. He goes, "We're down. What are you doing? How down are you?" I go, "We're actually up." "No way you're up. What did you do?" So we strike up this friendship, and he's like, "Let's have coffee every week." And we bump in, have coffee, and share stories. And he invested into me and poured into me. So like the reason I'm doing this today, why I'm writing books, is I want to give that back. So many
Sure.
people invested in me, and you can't sit here as a person and have all of this knowledge and wisdom and have somebody sitting across the podcast or wherever that
Right.
needs it. Like it's a responsibility. It's a human responsibility, I feel, to give that back. And it's one of the coolest feelings in the world, right? I'd say selfish for me personally. Like it makes me feel good. But
Yeah.
it makes me feel good that I'm making lives better.
Right.
So
No,
so yeah, and
absolutely.
you're never too experienced to learn something new, and you're never too new to not have something to share with somebody else. So keep
Yeah,
that in
there's no
mind too.
question about it. Yeah. I mean,
You know?
I'm not like in love with being a lawyer. It's not like the greatest thing I've ever done. I could have been successful other ways, but the ability to be, I would always want to be helping people, in
Yeah,
one way, one fashion or another. So people
yeah.
come to me with whatever issue they have, and I, help them solve it. And it
Mhm.
is definitely, fulfilling. So do you still have, I'm jumping around a little bit, but do you still have the painting business?
Mhm.
You do still have the painting business?
I do, yeah. So painting that has now layered in other services, roofing, home repair, siding, gutters. We get a lot of hailstorms out here. So I'm not
Okay.
actively involved in the day to day. I really focus on, so my big focus is like, I want to write more books and create leadership content that, my team can use to build the business. So yeah, I'm there from the big picture leadership perspective right now, but we're really pushing to grow the roofing division. I don't have the desire to grow the company geographically all over the state. We did that, been there, done that.
Yeah.
We don't want to franchise it. I just love the opportunity it provides for the people that it provides that to here in Northern Colorado. So we're going to keep that really rooted, really deeply, really strong, and possibly pass it to the family, the kids if they want it. I think my daughter would want it before my son. She's a little business go getter,
That's funny.
and then yeah, we'll see where it goes.
So you got that. You're building we'll call it an entrepreneurial community, right? And
Hmm.
you got some
Yeah,
real estate investments that you're making.
yeah,
Those are your
yeah,
three areas of concentration right now. I include the
hmm,
authoring, the speaking,
yeah.
all in the entrepreneurial community.
Yeah, just trying to build my brand and get out there and just be a beacon of hope for entrepreneurs. It's like I should be telling you, man. Like I can tell you stories from back in Montclair. I should be dead, disappeared, or in prison with all those other kids. So how
Yeah.
do you come out of that environment and end up here? And I love sharing that story with people. I'm a follower of Jesus, so I share my faith story and that environment. And that's been really fun to share with people too, because going through this business journey, I found my faith in the back of a police car in handcuffs after I should have been drunk and dead in a field. And
Right.
that was probably the 47th weekend that I did that and got picked up. So just the fact that I'm here able to speak to you is a testament that there's a bigger purpose for why I'm here, and what I'm doing. And I think everybody should explore that within their own lives.
Yeah, that you weren't one of the kids who didn't make it.
Nope.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Yeah, Montclair, I don't know if you've known or seen it lately, but you wouldn't recognize the town. There's high rises everywhere. Downtown's all built up. It's crazy. It's crazy.
Bloomfield Avenue is crazy. Yeah.
Bloomfield Avenue is really gotten. You wouldn't recognize it. Half the things are gone. There's parking lots that are no longer parking lots. They're buildings and things that aren't there anymore. And the restaurants are all New York style restaurants. Great. It's there's a great nightlife in town now. It really is. But that's what happens with areas. They go through cycles.
Yeah, we left right before, I think right before they built the train. You used to have to go to Hoboken to get to the city. And then they built the direct connect train from Montclair. And then that's when, things started going crazy. And then they started, knocking down neighborhoods, building up buildings. And I was just back there in December and hung out with a friend out there. So I see my second grade teacher still from Watchung Elementary. I still see her. Shout out to Ruth Rennie. I don't think she's going to watch the podcast. I don't think she has a computer, but I just saw her. And then I speak to a friend from elementary school that I still see. He lives in Caldwell with his family, and he actually runs the Grove Pharmacy down there. If you know Montclair well, right on Grove Street. Yeah.
No, actually, I grew up in the Caldwells. West Caldwell, went to James Caldwell High School. I'm from that whole area, so I've seen it all change too. Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Yeah. All right. So, Matt, where can, this community you're still building, the whole concept, but how can people kind of interact with you, follow you? They can certainly find your book on Amazon. We'll put a link in the show notes. Yeah. But what's the best way to connect with you, social media wise and so forth?
Best place to go. It's the hub for everything. It's just mattshoup.com. From there, I've got a sign up for a set of free tools, business leadership development tools. All of my morning coffee videos that I do on all the social media channels, that feeds to the site. You can learn about the books. I take business leaders over to Spain for leadership adventures and retreats. Nice. We're going to hike part of the Camino, 70 miles over 6 days in September.
How many guys?
It'll be like 12. About 12 of us. Yeah. Okay. Nice. So it's all there. And then from there, I can let everybody know about the new things to come.
Yeah, you'll get on the mailing list, and then you'll find out when about the community and stuff like that. Well, I can't thank you enough. I think since it's 11 o'clock here, it's probably pretty early out where you are. Right? You're at least 2 hours behind me, maybe 3. No?
Yeah, we're 9 a.m. Yeah, we're 2 hours behind. Yeah.
Well, I appreciate you coming on and spending time with me and sharing your story. And I hope people can interact with you and learn from you and enjoy the rest of the weekend.
Thanks, Mitch. You too.
Thank you for listening to this episode of The Accidental Entrepreneur. Opening and closing music written and performed by Howie Moskovich and made to order music. For more information about Howie and his music services, please follow the link in our show notes. If you like the podcast, please tell others about us. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, on Google Podcasts, on Amazon Music, Spotify, and most of the other podcast directories. If you like what you hear, please leave us a 5-star review and feel free to share our episodes on social media. If you have any questions or comments, ideas for the show, or you'd even like to appear as a guest, reach out to us by email at info@binehackerlaw.com. The Accidental Entrepreneur is hosted by Mitch Binehacker and produced by Binehacker Law. If you'd like to learn more about our business and legal services, you can find us on social media or visit our website at binehackerlaw.com. Thanks for listening. Be sure to subscribe to our feed to be notified of all future episodes.